Today is the 20th of April, 2012. We are in Scotia, New York. My name is Wayne Clark. I'm with the New York State Military Museum and Veterans Research Center in Saratoga Springs, New York.
Let me introduce Michael Anthony Verno, born June 10th, 1921 in Mechanicille, New York. Also, let me thank you in advance, Mike, for your comments. He registered for service on October 27th, 1942 in his hometown of Schenectady, New York. Mike, what branch of service did you join?
Army.
Why did you pick the Army?
Well, I was drafted.
Do you remember anything about the war bonds and victory gardens and ration stamps?
No, I didn't know nothing.
That all happened after you went to war, huh? Can you tell us a little bit about the feeling in your family about you leaving, your friends, your neighbors towards the war?
Well, they all felt bad, but it was time of the war. We were all going. Who enlisted and who was drafted, we all left for the service.
Where were you first assigned?
Sport Lee, Virginia.
Is that where you took your basic?
That's my basic, 6 weeks basic. 6 weeks.
And then where did you go?
Camp Adair, Oregon.
Did you think you were going to be fighting the Japs?
I thought we were going because the equipment they give us is summer equipment, like clothing and stuff. And I said, well, we're going to the Pacific.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
What was the next move?
Then, wasn't Lake, yeah, we moved to Fort Dix, New Jersey. And then we went to Fort Dix. And then I knew we were going to Europe.
You must have thought that was nuts, going back and forth across the country. Now they told you were going to England?
England, yeah.
How did you get there?
The old Aquitania. And I got on ship. I said my bunks was down the F deck, the water line. So I got up and took my equipment and went on. Me and my buddies that were assigned to the deck, we all went up and stayed on the. We went upstairs and stayed on the ship deck all the way across, 7 days. And the ship would maneuver back and forth in case of submarines or something.
You didn't see any German battle ships?
Did you get seasick at all?
No.
No?
That's one thing I said, never got seasick. I had a few buddies of mine that were sick all the way across.
Where in England did you land?
Liverpool.
What unit were you assigned to?
Army. Quartermaster Corps.
What type of work did you do there?
I was in supplies. Everything the soldiers needed. From food to shoes to clothing, everything. Anything the soldiers needed.
You were unloading all the boats?
Pardon?
You were unloading the boats?
No, we didn't. We had the boats coming. We had, well, we were in Liverpool, stationed in Liverpool in the docks, the warehouses, the ships could come in, and we had the regular crew from the English crew would come in and unload the docks for us. But we told them where to put the stuff.
What was the feeling of the English towards the Americans? Do you remember?
Well, they weren't too pleased with us.
How long were you in Liverpool?
1 year.
So you must have been on liberty quite often. How did you travel?
By Stanley by bus. And Stanley Road, we used to get and I was going down with my buddy, and we going out this evening, and we just met these two girls at the bus stop. And when the bus stop, we got on, and there was no room, so the girls said to me, my wife, just sit down with me, and I sat with her and started conversation a little bit. And before you knew it, she said to me, we've been going courting right along. And she said to me, would you like to meet my family? So I went down, we met the family and everything. and that was for God continued until we got married.
What did you do for a social life?
Oh, we
In Liverpool.
Well, me and my wife they had this dance hall, what they called the Grafton, and we used to go dancing, or go to the Irish club, to have a few drinks and things. There was all the soldiers would be gathered there, and like a night out for liberty. At 10 o'clock, when I was in the pub, the bell would ring, and all the liquor you wanted, you had to get before that bell. But after that bell, you could have everything on the table, but you couldn't get nothing after that bell rang.
Oh.
How long did you court your wife?
Oh, most of the years. But now we're going to see this Ken Kelly. He was the pastor of St. Richard's Church, and he says, I told him, I said, Father, we want to be married. He said, no, go home. We told him, go home. They told my wife, he says, you better go home. So then we turned around and we got married, but Father Taylor, the assistant pastor, married us.
What date did you get married on?
The 22nd of April,
On your wedding day?
wedding day. Well, on my wedding day, my commanding officer says, well, you have to be back because we're on the alert. And I said, that's all right. And I went. I didn't get back. I overshot my time. I didn't get back till 3 in the morning. And I couldn't get to the barracks. I had to be careful because the guards.
Oh, yeah.
So my two brother-in-laws, I stationed them one on one end of the building and one on the other. And I said, now let me know when they're going this directions, different direction. I said, and then I'll jump over the wall. And just as it happened. That's the first encounter I had. I thought I wasn't ready for the break.
From Liverpool, where did you move?
To Bristol.
How long were you in Bristol?
Oh, not more than a week or two. Then I went to Southampton. And then, while I was in Bristol, my wife come down from from Liverpool. She come down, and I didn't get the chance. I met her for maybe 2-3 days. After that, I didn't. We were put on the alert, and I didn't see her. And I told her before. I said, "Now, when you see I'm not coming, you know I left for for the war." And she said, and I never saw her. That's how she did. She waited a couple days, and then she went back home.
Before going over to France, what were your thoughts or fears?
Pardon?
Before you traveled over to France, what were your thoughts or fears about
The war?
the war?
Yeah, well, okay, you're killed or something, that's it.
Were you in the first wave of the invasion?
No, that was the second, the third day we went. Well, it was the third day we went
So next from Bristol, where did you go?
to Southampton. Southampton.
Do you know how you got to Normandy?
The landing crafts.
Was it a tough crossing?
No, we had a smooth crossing. It wasn't, but like I say, I didn't know how far along. I didn't know how to swim, and most of us didn't know how to swim anyway. But we all had that combat stuff with us, honest, our guns and everything on our shoulders. And we landed a landing craft on shore, and we went in
Where did you end up?
on Omaha Beach.
What kind of reception did the Germans have for you?
They were shelling all the time, shelling us all the time.
Were you wounded?
Yes, I was wounded in my back. And I stayed here, but I never knew it. Never knew I was wounded until a few years back. I'm going back quite a few. The war's been almost 60-some years. I went to a doctor and I had a physical, and he told me, he says, you know, you got a piece of shrapnel in you. So I said, no. The only thing that we landed on this beach, we dug our foxhole, and when I dug the foxhole, me and my buddy, we went down, then we went in to get away from the shrapnel.
Mm-hmm.
But this happened on the beach. I pulled guard duty. I pulled guard duty that night, and they were shelling us all night long, all night long.
And you never felt it hit you?
Never felt enough. Never no bleeding or nothing. I never knew.
Huh.
I didn't know until I got home to the service. Because right now, when I take an X-ray, you can't take an MRI. It won't show.
Hmm.
From France, what was your next move?
Brussels.
Do you remember anything about your stay in Brussels?
Yeah, well, when staying in Brussels, we used to have a physical maybe once a month to give a checkup. And this doctor sent me to Luxembourg to a field hospital because of this. He said to me, I had a murmur in my heart. But, so after that,
It wasn't serious enough to dismiss
it
you.
was serious. I couldn't get out of the service, so it couldn't have been that bad, but whatever it was.
So you went back to Brussels.
I went back to Brussels, yeah.
Your unit was involved in the Battle of the Bulge.
Right. Yes, we found this German cave, and they had all kinds of wine and whiskey, you know, all that there. They had it, for instance. We found it, and the commanding officers take what you want, but don't overdo it. So we did. So some of us took it, some didn't.
So was that your first encounter with the Germans?
Yeah. No.
Well, it was on the beach, huh?
On the beach, yeah, that's on the beach.
You went through Bastogne. Was the battle over when you went through Bastogne?
No. We were moving along when they went into Bastogne. So we brought the supplies in. But like I said, they were trapped. We were trapped in there. And my commanding officer, Major Borman, I'll never forget his name, and my lieutenant, he was a mate Captain Kimberly. And Major Borman told me, he says, I'll give you the orders, and you go back to the supply in France and find this depot, and we're going to move out. But we couldn't move. It took me over half a day to get out of the Bulge, because the infantry were coming in from the States, and they were moving in, and they had the priority over us. So
The first city you reached in Germany?
Cologne, yeah. There was nothing left of Cologne. Cologne was completely demolished. There wasn't a house standing.
So
And we were in the fields where we sort of laid our supplies and everything with canvas all covered up and everything in the field.
So that was secured when you arrived in Cologne.
Right.
How long were you there?
Oh, I got a furlough. I got a furlough to go back to see my wife. And
How long was the furlough?
7 days. And we went back. I went back to England. And I left France and I went back to Southampton.
Did you go with anybody?
My buddy. So we didn't have any money. And now, this is a funny story, but it's the truth. I had cigarettes. I had I smoked pretty well. And I said to my buddy, I says, what are we going to do? I says, I ain't got no money. My money, I had money sent to my wife from my allowance. And I asked him, I says, how many cartons of cigarettes you got? Well, he told me, he says, I got a couple. I says, well, okay, I got 2 or 3. I says, come on. I said, we'll sell them and we'll have some money to go over with. And I sold them for $20 a carton.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you get to England? When you went with your buddy, how did you get there?
Oh, during the war?
Yeah, on that furlough. How did you get back to
Oh,
England?
we were by a boat. We went across the channel.
To
From Lahar to England. Southampton.
And then where'd you go?
Then I went from Southampton to London. I met my wife in London.
So the wives met you there?
Yeah.
How long did you stay with them?
Oh, I stayed 3 days, 2 days, 3 days, and the extra day. Then we left. We went back home, down to my in-laws. We were married by then.
When did you show up back with your buddy? Did you meet up with him to get back to Germany?
Yeah, we met. We all met. When we come back, he went a different direction from me, and I went from Liverpool back to London. I met him in London, and we stayed in London, but we overstayed 3 days or better. And I said, here's another encounter where it's cost for me to be a, what do you call it, a stockade. But I was fortunate. The commander says there was a slip up someplace, so I was lucky.
So when you got back to Cologne,
Düsseldorf, yeah. That's, I asked my friend to do some supplies from us. And he says, Mike, do you want to meet some of your buddies? I says, I've been here almost 3 years. I haven't seen anybody from home. He says, come on. I says, well, go ask your commander if you can get a day off and we'll go up. So I did. And he gave me permission, but he told me, he says, make sure you get back before dark. So I went and I met my buddies.
who were they?
One was Alec de Versa, Attilio Benacosta, and Freddie Pidone. And then after that, I was talking to my friends, and we're going. After that, I'm leaving. I said, well, it's getting dark. I said, we better go. And when we were coming back, I hit the German lines. I said, we're going the wrong way. So the MPs says, you better get out of here fast because there's only about a half a mile up the road. They says, you're going to hit the German line. So we switched the Jeep and we went, and never made another encounter to go anyplace else.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any other encounters with the German troops?
The castle, yeah. Oh, we found this big warehouse of German supplies. Women's stockings, everything the German soldiers needed, a woman. So I bought a bunch of stockings, nylon stockings. I picked up a couple and shipped them to my wife. Everybody picked up something what they needed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you have to kill any Germans?
No.
No.
I told you that story. Kill or be killed, that's what they always told us.
So when you were in Kissel, this was towards the end of the war. After Kissel, where did you go?
So, Hamburg. Hamburg, yeah.
On your way towards Hamburg, did you have any experiences with the death camps?
Yeah, well, I didn't actually get to see get inside the camp, but I could see these buildings. They were big old concrete buildings, and you know, it was the death camps for the Jews.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it was, the Jews, the Poles, whatever. And there was this gas chambers.
Mm-hmm.
They was to tell us, the poor people, they were going to get a shower, and then once they got them inside, they just gassed them to death.
You know what camp it was?
We do.
Okay.
It was Bergen-Belsen. 70,000 were gassed. After Hamburg, where were you assigned?
Mannheim.
Did you know that General Patton was killed there?
I know he was, I heard he was killed. I didn't actually see him, but I know he was killed in Mannheim. I was stationed there. Yeah.
Did you have a hand in that?
No.
I didn't think so.
That's something nobody knows what happened.
Did you know the war actually ended while you were there?
Offered a promotion just as the war ended. They offered me a promotion. I was a tech corporal,
Mm-hmm.
and they wanted me, offered me a promotion to go to Japan. I said no. I said I have enough points to go home. I want to go home.
You opted for your walking papers, huh?
I wanted my walk-in paper.
Who was your commanding officer during the war?
Junior Bradley.
When you were headed home, where did you go?
Var. And there's camp. They used to name the camps different camps, like for cigarettes. Lucky Strike, Camel, Philip Morris, all that. Their names, and you could buy anything you wanted in these camps because you could buy cigarettes. It's just like a PX.
Yep.
You buy candy, anything you needed. So.
What camp were you assigned to?
Lucky Strike.
How long were you at these camps?
Oh, when I was wife for a while, then a good while was in camp. Then I had a friend of mine here in the States. He was a reporter, and we didn't have no equipment or anything for recreation. And I know a good friend of mine, and I told him, I wrote him a letter. He was the head editor for the Union Star, and I asked him if he could get me some baseball or some bats and some sort of recreation. And it wasn't about a month after I got everything. And when I got it, I never got to play with it, but there I was like a bat boy. The rest of the rest of the outfit played, and I said.
When you finally left France for home, how did you go?
Our Liberty ship. And there, I was kind of curious about them because I heard so much about them breaking up.
Wow.
Yeah, breaking in half, you know.
Uh-huh.
And I had a rough crossing with them. I didn't see the deck for 7 days. Then finally got to we finally got to toward New York. Well, it was about 14 days. It took a long time on the Liberty ship. Yeah, and
Do you remember where you were discharged from?
Fort Dix.
When you got home, was it easy to find work?
I worked at the Alco. Yeah,
Had you worked for the Alco before the war?
No, I was a manager for the bowling alleys. That's when I went into the service, when I was inducted.
What did you do for the Alco?
I run away tanks and railroad things for engines and stuff like that. That's it.
Can you tell us how you were able to get your wife approved to come to America?
Yeah, I waited over a year. I couldn't get any answers. So I had a friend of mine in politics, and I asked him, I said, no, good for it. I said, Tony, can you do me a favor? He says, Mike, what do you want? I said, look, I've been trying to get my wife back here, and I can't get any answers. So he says, all right, wait a minute. He says, I'll see what I can do for you. So he got a hold of, he was a congressman from Gloversville, Kearney, Congressman Kearney. And it wasn't a week after that I got her home.
Really? Wow.
My mother, I was working, and my mother called me in the shop, and she says, you better hurry up, your wife was waiting from New York. I rushed home, I got home, I changed my clothes, and I had a friend of mine, they were going, Volpe, he was a lawyer, and this Mr. Moret, he was going. They were going down to see a ball game, and he asked me if I could if I wanted to go take a ride with them down there because they were going. I said, yeah. They took me right to the docks, and when I got to the docks, I could see my wife on this old ship come in, the old Aquitania, and she come in at an angle, almost a 50, 60 degree angle. She hit rough waters coming across the Atlantic, but she was happy to see me.
How long had it been since you last saw your wife?
Oh, more than a year, yeah.
I bet you gave her a good handshake. Well, Mike, would you like to dedicate your contribution to the World War II Memorial to someone? Mr. Verno, thank you for your service.
Thank you for
Mike, I have just a few questions I'd like to ask you. When you were in England, in London, did you ever see any of the buzz bombs or hear them go over?
Well, this is a question. When I was stationed in Germany, I never saw these buzz bombs used to come.
Mm-hmm.
But like I say, when we could tell, if you can see the fire coming out, just like a sort of from the back end, if you can see the fire coming out, you know they were going. But once they let go, it would come down. And I didn't actually see too many of them in England, but because they were always hitting the main part of the city where the railroad was.
I see.
And they would go that way. But I see them going up. I see them going up. Yeah. And I see them when they located. When I was in France, they were sending them to England all the time. Yeah.
Did you see any USO shows or any celebrities?
Pardon?
Any USO shows or celebrities like Bob Hope? Did you see any?
No, I
No?
didn't. No, I didn't. I couldn't say. But because when like I say, when I went to my wife, and we used to go to movies a lot and dancing. She loved to dance, so and that's it. But well, I think one counter I had in town, like you mentioned, was a U.S. show, but I can't remember who was. It wasn't Bob Hope. I know that.
Okay. When you came home, did you join any veterans organizations?
No, I'm never doing about it. I get letters now, but I don't. I can't do it, to be honest with you, the way I'm living now. I only get a pension. I got a pension after I put in the claim for my shrapnel here, for about not quite 2 years, not quite, it's just a little over a year now, since the war. And I never tried. My daughter says to me, Daddy, we'll go to the VA, we'll go see, because I need hearing aids. And this actually come from the war anyway. So we went, and my daughter said to me, Daddy, we're going downstairs, this man wants to talk to you. I says, okay. We went over there, I had my discharge. I just gave him the discharge, he looked at it, and he said, now look, I gave him all the information he wanted. He was on the computer. And he said, now you got to go downstairs and talk to these people. So we went downstairs, they asked me a few questions, and I answered them, says, all right. And then said, excuse me, says, you're entitled to a pension. I told my daughter, I said, over 65 years I'm going to get a pension. I said, I never put a claim in. So I did. I finally got the pension because the hearing aid and the steer.
Now, did they give you a Purple Heart too?
No,
No?
never give me the Purple Heart. No.
Had to take
But
it
I
out
do.
to prove it.
I have on a ribbon. Oh, what was it, 5, Joe? What was that? How many ribbons I get? I mean, there's stars on the ribbon.
Oh, the
He
battle
gets
stars?
He gets a
Yeah,
bronze star for 5 battles. Cluster or whatever they call it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got a picture there of mine anyway, you can see it.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to just hold it up right in front of you and I can zoom right in on it? Okay. Let me just back up a little bit so I get that clearer. Okay. Where was that taken?
This was taken in England.
Okay. All right. Did you stay in contact with any of the guys you were in the service with?
No, they all went different directions. So,
Okay.
in fact, my best man was from California, and I never heard from him either. I never no contacts at all with anybody. The only contacts I had with these, because they were from the city. We're here. They lived right here with me. These fellows I told you I went to see when I was in Europe during the war.
When you got home, did you make use of the GI Bill at all? Or what they call the 5220 Club?
No, I didn't do
No?
that. I never did that. Never got nothing. What I'm going to say to you now, I started to give something to the veterans, okay? I used to deliver to Washington, but then I got kind of surprised. I says, what am I doing? This week somebody else will come from a different direction. And then another week later from another direction. I said, how do I know that I'm doing the right thing? So I just cut them out. But I think the one in Washington was the best one.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your interview.
You're welcome.